we have a staying the course concept that we've talked a lot about with clients, and the staying the course concept, which you can see up here, hard to read, I understand, but the concept of this is that there's been volatility consistently for decades and decades. Volatility is not new. In fact, the average year from peak to trough, at some point during the year, the markets are down 14%. Think about that. Like, if there isn't volatility, that's weird. And the reason why volatility hits us is because the market's processing information, processing that Japan could raise interest rates, and that's going to change a bunch of trades, really big trades with huge hedge funds that are running the logic there. So these are things that the market has to process this information. As it gets new information, prices adjust accordingly. So volatility isn't weird, and volatility isn't, let's just say it this way. It's supposed to happen. It's normal, and it's a natural part of markets. That's why we as investors get rewarded for being investors, because we withstand volatility. If it was super simple and it was easy and there was no emotional strings attached, well, then the returns would be de minimis because everybody could get it. And if everybody would do it, then it wouldn't work that way it works. So you get 10%-ish, maybe 8 to 10, 6 to 10 for owning diversified stocks. You get 4 to 5 for owning diversified bonds. If you go into private equity, maybe you're in the low teens. Private debt, you're in the high single digits, low double digits. You get rewarded for being an intelligent, patient, disciplined investor. And that's why markets work and how they work. So if you want the free lunch, it doesn't exist in this particular space. And it really doesn't even exist in real estate. Look at what people deal with in real estate. And oh my gosh, all the people right now who own, even multifamily or especially office buildings, who've spent their whole life investing in office buildings. I mean, this is there's some real challenges and volatility facing those markets currently, which they'll wash themselves out too.
Yeah. Back to the topic of, this geopolitical just turmoil, right? Just a lot happening in the world right now. A lot of the news outlets are also confusing to me, by the way. And I'm the worst sample size person for this particular topic because I don't watch the news. I read news, but it seems like they're jumping from one headline to another more than even I can keep up with. I'm like, what happened to the Israel-Iran thing? We don't care anymore about that? Yes, we do. Of course we do. Like, why isn't... And then what do you do if you have a personal vested interest in one of these big headlines? Like, that's what I think people listening in are like, what's the good advice that a wealth management leadership could give me as an investor if I'm freaking out about one of these big headlines, right?
Well, I mean, the media is 100% committed to not helping you do what's in your best interest. They are 100% committed to getting ratings. And how do you get ratings? Is sensationalism and driving human fear and human greed. You got to know that, like, recognize it, right? And there are different media outlets that are pushing different propaganda. Liberals would say that Fox is pushing false news and propaganda. Conservatives would say that CNN and MSNBC is all false news and propaganda. And the reality is they're probably both a lot of false news and propaganda. I mean, there was a picture that came out, Kamala Harris getting off an airplane, and there was a photo with this whole crowd, right? But if you look into the reflection of the airplane, there's no crowd. There's nobody there.
Wow.
Like, they generated a picture through AI, I'm sure, to show this huge crowd around her plane. There was no crowd because, thank you, the reflection, that was beautiful, Brian. Holy cow, you are worth all the money we pay you. We're going broke, but we're going to go broke looking good. Not really, but
I have not seen this picture. I've never.
Look at all the people cheering with signs and having a wonderful time. However, if you look at the shadows, there's no one there. This is a fake picture that was put out by some of the most prominent media, or at least it appears to be fake. I'm not going to say consequentially, because then I could be an idiot, and I don't want to be an idiot. I'm exposing that maybe I'm wrong, and I think we should all be willing to be wrong. And I would love to seek opportunities to be wrong, because that's a real learning moment. But there's been about 14 or 15 different reiterations of that, different angles and stuff. There's nobody there. There's nobody in the reflection of the plane.
So I see that, and I'm like, if I'm trying to be a responsible citizen of this country and be informed on what's going on around me in the world, and be able to, like, in my relationships and friendships and things, like, communicate intelligently, Like, what do I do then? Right. That's why I don't personally watch the news. I haven't watched the news since college because I kind of just got fed up a long time ago. And I'm like, this is all confusing. Like I need to get information, but I can't visually do it because it doesn't bring me any joy. It actually makes me frustrated.
It does. Right? I mean, comparison and sensationalism, fear and greed are two human emotions that don't bring happiness.
Yeah.
And if you look at the overall suicide rates, you look at depression rates, you look at people on meds, is higher than it's ever been. Thank you to the fake COVID, which was really just the flu. They just announced that, by the way. Did you see the CDC or somebody just came out and said the way to treat COVID it's the flu? So after 2.5 years of shutting down the economy, causing 13% unemployment, destroying kids' lives, seniors in high school and juniors in high school who didn't get their careers, thank you for the absolute dramatization and sensationalism. I mean, it was a farce. Yes, a lot of people died, mostly because they put them on ventilators, and you can't live on a ventilator for a week because it burns your lungs up. So crazy stuff. And now the facts are coming out. But right, people were considered conspiracy theorists and freaks because they were saying COVID wasn't real and I'm not going to get vaxxed. But yet Joe Biden, who's quintuples, however many, 10 times vaxxed, and he just got COVID recently. But I thought they said the COVID was a problem of the unvaccinated. It's just crazy, right? False news. So I don't know, Alex, what the answer is, because I think you
what am I supposed to do? You never answered my question.
I can't find it on Google. Like it's not like there's no news articles popping up on Google for me to find that.
Was that your all in guys, maybe?
Oh, well, if you look too, yeah, I mean, Google literally erased the Trump assassination. They would not allow any searches associated with the Trump assassination. I don't know if they still have done that, but if you searched Trump assassination in Google, zero, not a single article.
Attempted
assassination. Thank you. But so this is scary, right? This is what's scary to me. And I think we as a civilization, as a population, we owe it to ourselves to be detoxified from bad news. I mean, bad information, or we call it toxic financial information. I think bigger than even that right now is just being detoxed from sensationalism of the media and cognitive bias that's driving a wedge between us, because there should be no racism in our country. If you're black or you're dark skinned, the reason why is because your ancestors came from a warmer climate. You're no different. We're the same people. Black people, white people, Asian people, it doesn't matter. We're all the same human beings. We bleed the same. We have the same kind of hearts. We're the same. So the fact that racism is in the forefront is ridiculous. The fact that we're all cognitively confirmed in every one of our weird biases and beliefs and just relentlessly pursue down that's to me the more dangerous thing. But I think we have to kind of tie it back to money somehow, and finances and financial detox. And I think if you look back, historically speaking, we've gone through some radical things in our past. If you look at the positive and negative years of just say the S&P 500, positive and negative years, I think you said this when we started, Alex, 72 positive years. Basically it ends up being about 70% of the 1 year period.
Yeah. 73%. Well, I guess the reason why we're on this show is because we with our whole company, right? We spend all day, every day helping people steward true financial peace of mind, peace of mind.
Yes.
I know I'm not an expert in politics. I know I'm not an expert in news. I don't try to be either, because again, it doesn't bring me joy, but I suppose that having, somebody who is anchored in reality around what they can and can't control as it pertains to finance and investments is the purpose of why we do what we do, and why many people, I know they do have true financial peace of mind because they tell us they do. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me up in the morning. And it's what I love doing. It's really a great thing to be able to give somebody that gift, is what it really is. Right.
People are going to figure it out, right? The pendulum has swung far enough into this radicalization. And I believe that people are going to start recognizing that news is fake almost wherever you get it. I don't know where you can get the real stuff. I think you have to just talk about it with human beings. We got to go back to conversations. You got to go back to talking about, with your financial advisor, about your fears, about what's concerning you, about how your portfolio is structured in a way that can help you navigate the inevitable and certain volatility.
Yep.
But volatility doesn't necessarily mean risk unless we throw the Armageddon sword, right?
Or if people blow themselves up, they actually sell at the bottom and then buy back in one at the top and then wonder why their performance is not very good.
Such a good point.
And they get mad at the market and you're like, no, it's not the market's fault. It
was your behavior.
It was you. You did this to yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Alex, because it's literally the behaviors associated with volatility that can turn into risk, right? Volatility turns into risk if I panic at the bottom when I had a plan and I knew I was exposed to 15 or 20% volatility, and then all of a sudden I change my plan because I'm feeling that and I don't like it. Now I've just turned volatility into risk because of a behavioral blunder.
It's a heavy show. This stuff's real. It affects everybody. We all have something right now that's scaring us, I'm sure, in the world.
Yeah, but I love it. Look at this too. If you invest over a 1 year periods, it's actually 77%, according to this latest data, 77 since 1937. So we're going way back. 77% of 1 year periods in the S&P 500. That's only one index, by the way. That is not the market. We could get into that whole conversation, but the S&P 500 is 500 stocks, diversified, mostly large cap though, and all US. So that's not a totally diversified portfolio. I think you could even do better than these numbers, but the average 1 year probability of a 1 year being successful is 77%. If you're invested 3 years, the probability of a successful outcome or a positive outcome is 87%. When you go to 5 years, you're 93. And when you go to 10 years, it's 97. I would submit that if you added some fixed income, alternative investments, private equity, private debt, private real estate, infrastructure, and some international securities, that these numbers shift dramatically for the better. I bet your 1 year goes into the mid 80s. I don't know for a fact. I bet your 3 years in the 90s. I bet your 5 years 100% if you're in a more diversified portfolio than just the S&P 500.